Okay.
We are live.
Yes, we are finally live. And greetings to everyone and welcome to the first of this year's Love Shack Chats, where we're talking about goals and intentions, resolutions, and that kind of thing. And I'm having just about every technology I can have in one night at the same time. So if I disappear, my background disappears, my sound disappears. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. So I'd like to welcome Nisanka and Andrea back to the Love Shack for this year. And as this topic was Andrea's idea, I'm going to pass the ball in her direction.
Awesome. So intentions and goals. What is an intention? And what is a goal? And why do we set them? And why do we need to think about, for me, I like to set a goal, but my intention would be to achieving that goal in the best and highest way possible for myself. And setting the intention helps me achieve my goal because then I think about it. That's kind of what intentions and goals are to me. When you want to do something, you put an intention into it that it's already done, it's already happened. And then when it does, you're like, even better. Woohoo. What do you think, Nisanka?
I would agree with what you just said. I think intentions and goals are slightly different in the way they are, and I think intentions are something that you can sort of set every 5 minutes, if I may say. You know, if you're going somewhere and you know that sometimes maybe this environment could be stressful and negative, you can set an intention for yourself. I'm not going to get drawn into this one. And so you can set that intention for yourself, and say, for example, if you're I don't know, setting a goal. If you're setting a goal, you can set an intention. I'm going to be compassionate for myself, whether I achieve the goal or not. So that's the difference. Goal is very driven. It's a plan. It's a dream with a date on. In the coaching industry, that's how we describe a goal. It's a dream with the date on. It also has sort of steps and sort of achievable steps as well, and it has to have some strategy, whereas intention is very much a thought, it's an energy, it's something that you can set as and when you need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Are you with us, Alan? I don't see you on the camera, but can you hear us?
Alan has a goal to be here. Alan has an intention to be here. Alan's internet, however, does not have the intention to let him.
Right. Your camera was off there for a minute, so I'm not sure if you're with us or not. We have an intention of you joining us.
I am with you, listening into the audio, just trying to see if cutting the video stream out will improve the speed of my connection, and hopefully, firstly, I and you sound a little bit less like robots to me. So I'll just kill that camera again for a second while I'm talking. So for me, when I think of goals and intentions and resolutions, I think a resolution is a little bit like Andrea's description of an intention, but without the desire for it to already be completed and already happened. It's like a weak wish, if you like. That's why so often they don't last. And for me personally, sometimes I get confused between an intention and a goal, and I don't think I'm the only one. So I want to chuck at you a couple of metaphors or analogies I have in my head, and see what they say to you. One is inspired by Wayne Dyer when he was talking about giving up drinking. And he said it was one day at a time. So the question is the intention to never drink again, or is that the goal? And is the daily, not today, I'm not drinking today, an intention or a goal?
Well, the not drinking today, I would say, is a choice. It doesn't, his intention for that day would be not to drink today. And that's a choice followed by choice and taking action on it. It's going to happen. Not drinking in general is the goal. But how you go about that, setting that intention daily, I really enjoy. Like, that's something that I was taught a long time ago when somebody had quit smoking. Every day they just said, I choose not to smoke today. I choose not to drink today. Our intention, when we wake up and say that, that's our intention, right? When we've completed the day and we didn't do it, we achieved our goal.
Beautiful.
Nisanka, what's your thought on that?
I'm just thinking because I think everybody understands intentions and goals differently, and everybody set them differently, and it can be confusing for some people. I think as a person who started coaching first before stepping into a spiritual world and becoming aware of intentions and spirituality, goals to me it's very cognitive, it's very rational, it's very kind of very in the masculine kind of energy for me, from my understanding. So you're kind of, it's something that it feels like an action, it feels something that you do actively, it feels like an effort to me. When you set a goal, and goals are important, we need to have some clarity on what we want to do and what we need to do, and we need to take steps. But it feels sometimes, when we are so drowned in the world of goals, we lose sight with ourselves and we lose alignment. We sort of, is it misalignment or just unaligned? I don't know what's the word for it, but we don't align ourselves properly with ourselves and our true authentic self, because we've got to be careful of these goals. Are they us actually, or is it something that we have been conditioned to believe? And I'll give you an example from my own business. So when I first started the business, I fell into this coaching racket of make $1 million, make 100,000 a year, go. And I soon felt really disappointed and really frustrated that I wasn't making it. And then I started working with the great business mentor, and then I kind of changed my perspective towards it. Okay, now I have more intentions than I set goals for myself. Intention is to keep the vitality. Intention is to keep the peace. Intention is to deliver the whatever the workshop I do in a calm way that has more value. So I am more intention driven now than goal driven. What I'm noticing in myself as a person is that I no longer feel frustrated as much as I used to. There's a difference, because intentions are very much in alignment with ourselves and who we are as a person. It's a feeling, it's an energy that we are feeling deep within ourselves, whereas the goals can be very rational, very conditioned. I'm not saying it's black and white that way. What I'm saying is it can be, unless you can integrate both of them to be authentically you. What do you think? I mean, that's just my experience.
I'm not very big on goal setting. That's definitely something that I've avoided my whole life. I used to tell people, why do you set yourself up for failure? And now, being a coach and understanding, setting goals is important, but we need to set our goals a little bit higher than our comfort zone, so that we can push ourselves out of it. Like, because we get complacent, and you don't want to stay complacent. You want to be a little uncomfortable so that you can shift and grow. And my intention behind my goal, that's what changed it. I decided, like, goals are achievements. They're things I've done. So I'm striving to achieve something. And for me, I had to shift that mental process and put the intention in it that I need to be a little uncomfortable or step out of my comfort zone in order to reach this goal. And I agree with you 100%. Goals are masculine driven. It is a thing. Men are really good at setting goals and achieving their things, going to get it, because they don't really pay attention to their feelings like women do, right? So when I set an intention, I actually like close my eyes and feel what it would feel like to have that in my life that I don't have. Not that I'm setting a goal. I just want more of that feeling. And to me, that's where I say that intentions are something we can feel into it. And the more we feel into it, the more it will happen for us.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of things happening to us, where I think goals are like, I didn't reach my goal. So then you think there's some sort of failure with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you still have that intention to achieve that goal, whether you achieved it or not. That intention was still there.
Mm-hmm. And even if it doesn't work, like you can go back and reassess and be like, okay, what didn't work out? What was I not doing? What was I not showing up for? How was I not being what I need to be to attain this goal? Or maybe we just need to shift the goal a little bit. Make it that, like you said, in alignment with ourselves. It needs to align with us. And if we're using it, like for me, I use my goals to push me in some place that I've never been before. Yeah. And so I have to practice feeling those new feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest thing between all of these is the consistent actions we take towards, whether it's achieving a goal or just achieving that feeling that you're going to feel once that goal has been realized, once you're there.
Absolutely. And what you were talking about resolutions, Alan, what is that for you? What is a resolution? I don't really believe in them.
For me, I think they belong in the same vein as the Christmas cracker jokes.
Yeah, people always say I have a New Year's resolution, but like nobody ever really follows through with it. Like I see people attain goals more than resolutions.
Yeah, the last New Year's resolution I set, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago. I've managed to stick to ever since, and that was to never set a resolution again in my life.
Right? Like, why don't we just say that, you know what, next year I would like to be healthier. So then we make that the intention, and then every day we make a choice. I want to be healthier. So how can I be healthier today? Take a look at that. Okay, I'm going to eat breakfast because I need my metabolism to start working in the morning. I'm going to have a healthy lunch, sandwich, whatever, salad. We choose different foods. And to me, that's like you said, you can set an intention at any time, but our actions are what follow through with it, right? And same with the goal, we have to follow through with some action in order to achieve it.
Yeah, and also we have to be very specific about when it comes to goals. Intentions are, very much like you said, in our body. It's a feeling. It's something that we tune into. It's more internal. And then when it comes to goals, the more specific that you set them, and more specific, more specific the goals are, better the clarity is, and better chances that we have in achieving them. I mean, you can write them on a piece of paper and then not do anything, and you will never achieve. The hustling is still there, and that's where the alignment comes in, I think. And when we're more aligned with ourselves, the hustling brings us the results that we need when we set goals. But when we are not in alignment, and when there's far too many blocks around us and sabotaging habits within us, that's when achieving goals becomes incredibly hard. So you could be setting an intention, and at the same time, if subconsciously you're sabotaging yourself because of all the patterns, then I think achieving goals becomes harder and harder. So it's very important for us to get to the subconscious and clear the slate a little bit, and actually re-imprint some positive beliefs about ourselves so that we can achieve the goals that we want to achieve, and we can be in alignment with our intentions.
I completely agree.
Alan?
Yeah, ultimately, I think irrespective of what we call these things, the two biggest things for me are, one is the reason why, and I totally agree with what you're saying, that for women it's a lot more emotional and how you're going to feel once you're there, and for men it's a lot more logical. It's like what we're going to have achieved once we're there, but it all comes down to the actions along the way, because you can have that intention of being healthy next year, but it takes a lot more than just having a smoothie now and again.
Right.
Consistent.
Absolutely.
Consistency
Yeah.
is vital.
And like I see people setting goals that are like so huge, you know, like, okay, I want to make $1 million in my business, say, this year, but they don't even make $1,000 in their business. If you don't take those little steps, is that even really achievable? And I know I've had this conversation with a couple of clients where they want this huge, massive thing that's completely out of what they know, what their comfort zone is, all these things. In order to achieve that, like, you got to push yourself pretty hard. You got to get out there. You got to do it. Is it possible? For sure it is. But are you ready for that shift? Are you making the steps? Are you doing the stuff? I think setting a goal, like, it needs to be tangible. Our intention setting can be, you know what? I want to make $1 million this year. What would it feel like for me to make $1 million and sit and like do all that and be awesome about it? Again, you need action to do it. And same with the goals. I think you can have that intention, but our goals are there. Okay, so I need to make this much a month, break it down into monthly goals instead of $1 million in a year. What do you need to be making each week? What do you need to be making each day? What do you need to be like? To me, that would be setting your goals up to achieve them, instead of just saying, I'm making $1 million this year and not set it, like completely setting yourself up for failure. I see it time and time again, even with personal growth, all that stuff. They're like, okay, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. And at the end of the year, they're still doing it because they didn't take that daily action or set a smaller goal so they could achieve this big goal. Like, there's so many levels of goals that we could have, right? Like our biggest goal, what is it that we want? But then how do we get there, and how do we set up little goals so we can feel success in that, instead of setting ourselves up for the failure of not achieving that goal? And when I was growing up, I never set goals because nothing ever worked out for me. Everything was happening to me. And now that I've got that mind shift and everything is happening for me, it's teaching me something. It's aligning me with that stuff. And okay, this is my big goal, but how can I set up tiny little goals to help me get to that bigger goal, instead of just having that big goal? Because I agree with you, Alan, men and women in goal setting is completely different. Men can set that big goal and get their masculine on and take that action and go get it. Like, it seems like that. And women need to break it down a little bit, because we need to, do we have the capacity to have that in our life? Do we feel worthy enough to have that in our life?
Only if you're in your masculine energy.
If we would step into more masculine energy for goal setting, it would probably be better, but women just aren't aligned that way.
Yeah. No. And I think part of the challenge with goal setting, I was talking to a friend of mine a while back who actually met the guy who created the idea of SMART goals. And somewhere along the line where this SMART goal approach has been taught, it's been misconstrued, because he doesn't talk about having like realistic and achievable goals within a sensible time frame or whatever it is. He talks about having really big goals, and the SMART goals are the smart, realistic, achievable goals on the way to achieving that big goal at the end. But that bit is often left out of the teaching.
Yeah. And if you don't do that, you just simply set yourself up for failure. And it's just
Yeah.
a thing that humans do. Like, we like to notice the things that we aren't doing, that we don't do good enough, that we focus on all of this, and we need to shift and see what we are doing good. And if we didn't make that goal, we can't beat ourselves up about it and have
Yeah.
that doubt and putting it all on ourselves that we'll never have what we want, or just that happening to me state of mind. And if it, like, what is that saying? If at first you don't succeed, try again, but don't try the same way, because that's insanity, right? Because if it didn't work that way the first time, what makes you think it's gonna? You have to come up with a new way to look at it, a new perspective. How can I do this but do it differently?
Yeah.
Because it didn't work the first time. And it's okay. We fail. We don't always accomplish our things, but it's how we feel when we don't accomplish that thing. Are we beating ourselves up? Are we, oh, I'm never going to get this, or oh my God, nothing ever works out for me. Like, what state of mind are you in? Like Nisanka, you said, it has to be in alignment with our truth and who we are. But at the same time, you want it to push you out of that comfort zone.
Yeah. I didn't mean, when we say who we are, I didn't mean stay in the comfort zone. I think growth takes place when we connect with our authentic self, because growth means unconditioning ourselves and letting go of sabotaging beliefs. And growth is actually healing from trauma. Growth is actually connecting with our mind and the body. These are all sort of goals and intentions and the things that we need to do to be in alignment. I mean, that is growth, that is uncomfortable. I mean, if you think about like trauma healing, and a lot of us just remain sort of in the coping state, managing state, until our body kind of sort of give up, but growth happens when you accept, or actually this is not serving me well, and I'm gonna go and do something about it. That's where the growth happens, and it is very, very uncomfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable. There was a really good statement I heard somewhere. I think, Alan, it's Tad's community that I've heard this from. There was a title that said, "What's the best way to avoid meditation?" That is to read books about meditation. And I think
Yeah.
this is the other thing that we need to become very aware of, whether it's goals or intentions. What we need to become aware of is, like Alan said, is actions taking every day, little things that every day, unless you go for that 10 minutes walk, in nature and connect with it, you're not going to sort of improve your well-being by reading books about well-being and binge watching Netflix on sofa and then eating a bowl of popcorn. We all do that. We all have those days. I'm not saying those days are bad, that you can't do them. What I'm saying is, unless you take actions about something, you're not going to achieve goals, and your intentions just become a thought, and it's just become a futile thought, because you could be setting an intention, by next year I'll be rich or something, or I will be in love and I will have found somebody. But if you're sitting on couch, ruminating about the relationships that you never had, you'd never find the person. So you've got to take actions. I mean, these are things sometimes I say to myself, I fail to follow my own preaching sometimes, but that's why you kind of need to work with somebody, because I have like group of people, including you, like I have these conversations, and sometimes they'll be like reminding me, that's what you need to. I was like, oh no, that's true, because when we're in the thick of everything, raising children, doing all of these things, these things slip our mind.
Yeah, when you're in the picture, you can't see the frame.
Exactly. And that's why you kind of need to have somebody like an accountability partner, whether it's a friend, family, partner, or a coach or a therapist. You kind of need to have somebody not holding hands that way, but sort of holding you accountable for these things. Otherwise, and we're human beings as well. We're not meant to be doing this alone.
Mm,
I am enough.
yeah.
This is what I read in Tad's community again. I am enough doesn't mean that we're meant to be doing things alone. I am enough the way I am, but we're not meant to be doing things alone. We're meant to be connected. We're meant to be asking for help. And we're meant to be reaching out to other people. We need to, sort of, reach out to other people. That's just, you cannot achieve your goals without that
Oh,
connectedness.
I agree.
That's why we all have different skill sets and different talents. And as the old saying goes, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. Like, I mean, I've had a coach for like 15 years. Yes, my coaches have changed. The type of coaching that I get changes. And it is a place where I can push myself to be better. But I actually don't think I could do that on my own. Like if I was just alone, I don't think that that's even possible. And when you understand support and you receive support, your world changes. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know how to receive as humans. We forgot how to receive. That's something that I've become really aware in my coaching for the last few years, has really been teaching people to receive. And support is huge to receive, because we don't know how to be supported. We don't know what that looks like anymore. We don't, hey, you told me you wanted to set this goal. How's it going with that? How did you do? Just checking in on people even. I think it's important.
Yeah. Sometimes I think friends and family, depending on how close they are, will not always make the best accountability partners, because when you don't hit your goals, because they want you to feel good, and they don't want you to lose out on anything. Oh well, don't worry, it was a big goal, so it'll be okay. You've still got that good job where you are, even if you're not living your dreams, kind of thing. Whereas a coach or somebody that really understands accountability will be like, okay, so what didn't you do along the steps to get towards achieving this goal that you said you were going to do? Okay, I might have spent too many days watching Netflix, and but it's only when you have that person that is willing to hold that mirror up to you for your own good that you get those changes.
Yeah, and accountability. I agree with accountability. Like, we do not hold ourselves accountable. It's like, oh, you know what? I can do that tomorrow. It's okay. Right? We can put it off day and day and day, ongoing forever. And then you didn't achieve your goal. And then you feel the failure. And then you're self-sabotaging and you go through this cycle. So I do think having accountability is something for intentions even, and goal setting. Sometimes I set intentions with people that, like, it's not really my intention, but I want to have that feeling because I've never felt it before. So sit with someone and feel what they're feeling and kind of get into it, step into it. And then it's funny how you do that. And then these things start to show up magically. It seems like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't even really set that as a goal, but here it is.
Yeah.
Like magic happens when we push ourselves outside of what we see, our own limitations.
Absolutely. And we can't see sometimes we can be, we have blind spots. We don't see our own, potential sometimes. Somebody else can spot that potential and point it to us. And sometimes we don't see our own pitfalls, because we are in it. What do you say, Alan? What's that phrase? You can't see the wood for its trees. You're in it. You can't see it. So you need somebody else to point it to you and then work through things. And it doesn't have to be any one of us. We're just generally speaking about how things can be done. That's why getting support is very important. Set an intention this year. I'm going to ask for more help. Set a goal for this year. I'm going to ask for help from X, Y, Z.
Right.
Yeah.
And just take the little steps to make that goal. Like if you set a big goal, set little goals so that you don't have this like, oh my God, I'm never going to make my goal. But maybe you can make little goals that will lead up to that goal. Maybe you can just set an intention every day. The intention is, I'm going to work towards my goal today.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? So I think this is something that, and I'm sure many people experience. You set an intention, you set a goal, and you don't achieve it. And people feel really rather frustrated. In that moment, what would be your advice to those people who feel like, oh, I've not achieved what I don't think I can do this anymore? What would you say, how to shift that mindset in that moment?
I'd probably go to some nervous system regulation exercises and some breathing. And then I would ask them how we could change that so that it's more achievable or attainable to what's in your current situation. And I'd work with them to come up with a new goal that isn't quite so far out of reach.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What would you do, Alan?
What I used to do in the past was say things like, okay, screw it. I'm never setting goals again, because as you say, why set myself up for failure? Sort of big, massive goals way out in the distance. But because they're so far away, it's like I've got plenty of time to get there. So if I don't do anything today, it's okay. And when I first started, it might have been a nice steady step case up to the top. Then by the time you get a lot closer, it's like you look up at your goal and it's like, oh shit, I've got to climb Mount Everest and I've got 3 days to do it in. And I've never climbed a mountain before. What do I do? And then it's like, and then the negative thinking starts coming in instead of looking at what I was doing on a consistent basis along the way and actually saying, well, is this getting me closer to my goal or is it getting me farther away?
Yeah.
So it's looking back at the daily actions along the way and just being really honest with yourself and saying, well, what could I have done differently? What did I do that took me farther away and what took me closer?
Yeah.
And just accept that, yeah, you made some mistakes along the way and now you've got that learning to move forward from. And then get a accountability buddy, a coach, whatever is needed to kick your butt.
Yeah, butt kicking is essential, I think. Because we can be so complacent. We can be so, oh, it didn't happen. I don't think I can do it. We can be so victim. We can go into victim mindset. Even the most driven people at the best of their time can go into the victim mindset because it's natural, it's human behavior. And that's why, like you said, butt kicking, having somebody kick your butt is so important, but you've got to be careful and who you're giving this responsibility to. I mean, my field of work is working with the narcissism. Absolutely. So working with narcissism, and they're very good at kicking your butt in a different way by gaslighting you and undermining you. So you don't want to hold such people accountable, nor that you want to turn to those people for advice anyway. They have no good intentions for you. They have no kind of support system, or they're chronically insecure, so they're not going to give you any help. So when you hold people accountable, when you choose somebody to hold you accountable, make sure you're not choosing somebody toxic like that. Choose somebody who has done something, who can inspire you, who is taking regular actions to do something, because you're not going to get any advice from people who have not done anything for themselves in their lives. But people with closed mindset, then they haven't done anything for themselves, and you're not going to get inspiring actions from inspiring advice or sort of that butt kicking from those people. You need to be surrounded by people. Your environment is so important when you set intentions and goals. It's so important, and it's say for example, you're doing work for yourself, right? Working with a coach, whatever it is. And so you're cleansing your system, but the people around you are putting toxic stuff into you, right? So your environment is really, really important. Have boundaries in place, healthy boundaries in place. Just stay close to very trustworthy people. That might be 1 or 2 people in your entire life. You might feel lonely in this journey. But it's just so important that we filter people out and keep the people who can give a healthy butt kicking, not leave a scar on your butt.
Right, and be able to call you out without making you feel smaller or less than, like, hey, I don't want anybody in my life who's going to point out that I failed at something.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants that.
How many times do parents say, oh, I don't want you to hang around with that child because they're not a good influence? And then not look at the friends that are influencing them.
Oh, yeah. My parents used to say that to me all the time. They just didn't want me to hang out with anyone. They thought that I should just be this lonely person and by myself, and I had whatever. I didn't know how to act or how to have those things. Like, that's why setting goals was so hard for me. I had nobody who actually supported me. And when I learned what support actually was and what it looked like, it changed my whole life. And I was in my 30s when I learned what support was. I was already married. I already had my kids, and I didn't know any of this stuff. So having a coach at that time that was calling me out honestly, respectfully, genuinely, she wanted it with the best intention for my well-being. It wasn't about making me feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Where sometimes our parents give us that, like, you're never going to be good enough. You shouldn't hang out with anyone. Like, my dad literally said to my first boyfriend, I don't know why you're with her. Like, who says that about their kid right in front of them? Like, where is that building that daughter up at all?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing I'd hear from my daughter's mother, but anyway.
But, like, those things hurt. It's a hurtful thing to have to deal with. And then later in life, I had to hire a coach so I could learn to support these children who are turning into teenagers, and I had no idea how to talk to them. I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to surrender. There was, like, a complete surrender moment of, like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to set a goal and achieve it. I don't know what an intention is. Everything I do is just because I'm in that fight, flight, survive mode. Even though I had all those things set up, I couldn't receive support because I didn't know what healthy support looked like. And when I learned that, and now I can provide that, I'm going to kick your butt and I'm going to push you. But I also allow you to do that with me too. If you see something I'm doing that you don't like, please tell me about it, because I would like to not do that anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. And self-compassion and self-love and acceptance, these are all really, really important in achieving goals and setting intentions. Because without self-compassion, what we then do is we internalize shame when we make mistakes, when we don't achieve things. We tend to internalize shame, or we connect with the shame that we already have been carrying since our childhood, and it just kind of intensifies. And that's when you start procrastinating and projecting and having anxiety and having fear. It's because you're just connecting with the shame that you already have about yourself of feeling like a failure. And life gives you many, many lessons in your life. You have many, many lessons, valuable lessons, and just learn to just pay attention to them, learn from it, and just lightens up a little bit. I think that's the best thing. It lightens up a little bit. Lighten up about your goal as well. Have clear boundaries, have clear goals, have clear intentions, and take actions. But at the same time, have fun with them as well. have fun with them. This is something I have to remind myself when I set something, when I'm on a, when I'm driven, I forget to have fun. So one of my intentions this year, no resolution, but intention, is to have stricter boundaries, healthier boundaries for myself, and also have a lot of light fun. That's one of my intentions. So far, I went out on coffee with some random somebody I have been following on Facebook. They put up a post on Facebook saying, I'm here in Brighton. Do you like to come and have coffee? I was like, yeah, I'll be there in 2 hours. We had a great time in the evening. So just light fun. Just light fun. When you set an intention, things kind of fall into place as well, like that, because you end up then noticing things that's happening around you. So set intentions, have fun with things. I think we're kind of getting close to 8:00. So we might have to wind up in a minute. So just letting you guys talk. I think I'm talking now.
How about this for an intention?
How about what?
I was going to say, how about this for an intention for our next topic to be talking about dealing with shame, seeing as Nisanka's brought it up a couple of times today.
I think so. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Shame. Let's talk about shame.
Let's talk about
Absolutely.
it. We all hold shame on some level, and I am down for talking about it. Actually, it's right in alignment. My last workshop was on guilt and shame, so this is like we're right in alignment.
And also, as we're just coming up towards the end of today's call, I want to thank everyone that's been watching, and thank you both for turning up. Next time, Mitra will be back. And one of the things I thought about for this new year is to have some guest appearances. Yes. So if you're listening in and you would like to be a guest on these Love Shack chats at some point, drop me a message either on email, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and we'll have a chat and see what the possibilities are and go from there.
Have you got any questions from our audience, Alan, today?
Not that I can see at the moment. There could be some floating around in social media land that I can't see right now, but there's nothing that's filtered through to StreamYard. So,
okay.
Oh, and I thought I was going to disappear.
Always. Anyway, well, thank you very much for everybody for watching, and have a great time, and we'll see you soon again in next month.
Yes, we will. And with that, I will say good night, and we'll see you next time.
See you.
Come on.